Jamie Drummond for Good Food Revolution. I'm very happy to be here at Vertical with none other than Sandro Bottega, who is here all the way from Veneto, Italy. Now, you are one of the most well-known producers of Prosecco within Canada. How did you come to be where you are today? Because I know originally you weren't really in the world of wine.
I started my job when I was 13 years old, and after school I went to help my father making grappa, making a little bit of wine as well. And he has another generation behind him that started this business, because my grandfather was a wine broker. So during the Second War, my father was a pilot of airplanes, and then when he came back after the war, he became a truck driver for a wine company, and he became the director of that company. And then he decided to open his own company in 1977 when I was 13 years old. And in fact, immediately after, I fall in love with this job, despite my dream was to become a musician, a driver of cars, a pilot of Formula One. That was my job. That was my dream. But unfortunately, my father passed in 1983, the 8th of March, and I was going to the university. I left the studies, and I continued the business that he did.
So how did you end up moving into Prosecco? Because previously it was just distilled spirits, was it not, in your family company?
First of all, Prosecco is a major cultivation, and at that time it was the name of the grape. Grappa was our major activity, that's true, but immediately after, in 1987, I started to produce Prosecco. So I thought that in the future Grappa could have been an important product, but we also need sparkling wines, which are more trendy, more sophisticated, more, let's say, useful for the new and the modern palate. There was a friend of mine, just to think, that was a friend of my father, and at that time, in the early end of the 70s, he was a very important winemaker for Prosecco. My father was a very important grappa maker, and they was very good friends, and each of them gave to the other a little bit of teaching, a little bit of coaching, and in this way also I had a very important experience and an important knowledge about this wine.
Now, Sandro, what would you say to those people who don't think that Prosecco can be a serious wine?
I have never met people that say that, but the difficulties that you have cultivating the Glera grapes in the hills of Conegliano Valdobbiadene, where everything has to be done by hand. You have to grow the vineyards by hand, cut the prunes by hand, you have to make any treatment by hand, harvest by hand. You understand that it is rarely to find a wine so difficult to be made, a grape so difficult to be cultivated. I think that the Prosecco is a great wine, very difficult. Unfortunately, it is not so known, the production system, and there's a lot of Prosecco which is cultivated in the flat areas where let's say the cultivation system are easier, less costly, and the quality is also lower than others. So I would say that the real Prosecco, coming from the Treviso area, the highest hills, is a great wine, one of the best sparkling wines of the world for its characteristic and for the difficulties that we have to produce it.
So how would the consumer recognize the different levels of quality when it comes to Prosecco?
Actually, as in Champagne, where there are many different levels of Champagne, many different vintages, also for Prosecco there are many different quality and levels of product. We only sell vintage Prosecco. We don't produce any Prosecco which is not vintage.
That was news to me last night. I didn't realize that. So
No, that is
yeah.
important. This is in the last 10 years at least. But we can make 5 differentiation in Prosecco. First of all, we have the Prosecco, the DOC. Then you have the Prosecco DOC Treviso, which was till 5 years ago, till 2009, it was the 95% of the Prosecco produced in all over the world. Now it is about 48%. And normally the Prosecco in this area is more full body in the taste, which has the characteristic mainly of the Feletto area, which is the lower hills of Conegliano and some flat areas, but just at the feet of the Dolomites or the Alps. Then you have another quality, which is the DOCG Arzolo, which is a higher level with a lower production quantity per hectare, 13.5, and then higher of that you have the DOCG Valdobbiadene Conegliano. The difference in taste of these 2 last Prosecco are more refined. I suggest more as aperitif. They are a little bit lighter in the mouth but more savory. They are more minerals but less fats, and this makes that these wines are more useful for aperitif or for a light meal. And then you have on the top of the top, you have the DOCG Superiore di Cartizze, which is a small area, about 100 hectares, in east of Valdobbiadene, and in this area, which has a very particular exposure to the sunshine, we produce a wine which is more fruit, more flower bouquet, more white flower bouquet. It is a very nice citrus also aftertaste, because it has a very nice acidity, and it is called Cartizze. This wine normally it is also sold as a dessert wine, because it is presented, it is proposed with a little higher sugar contents, 20-25 grams per liter, despite my best favorite Prosecco as is a brut with between 10 and 13 grams per liter of sugar. There is another quality, the last one that I want to mention, which is in between the DOCG and the Cartizze, which is called Rive. It is a denomination which is only made for single vineyards, single places, identified where everything has to be hand-picked, hand-cultivated, and where the yields are particularly slow.
Where would you say the perfect place was for Prosecco at the dinner table?
Prosecco in my culture, in our culture in Treviso, is a wine that we drink for during all the meal, from appetizer, from aperitif, appetizer, going to pasta, and especially with barbecue. There's one of the best matches that we have in our area is Prosecco allo spiedo, and we drink Prosecco exactly when we eat the barbecue. But if I've to be honest, my best way is aperitif, starting with a little finger food, which is very Venetian, very Veneto tradition, and then maybe with something very salty. Can be with a glass of Prosecco. You can have a great pizza, you can have some great fish, or some light pasta with a tomato and basil.
In your mind, what differentiates a quality Prosecco from so much of that Prosecco that is made on the flat lands, and when it comes to aromatic and flavor profile?
The bouquet that you obtain in the high seals is you recognize from three aromas. Number one, all the Prosecco has an apple aroma, and we must find everywhere. But when you go in the higher seals, you have the honey in the aftertaste, white flower in the highest hills, and the pear and the exotic fruit. This comes both from the vineyards, both from the attention that you have to pay to make all the fermentation process, To make it in a few words, if you want to make a great Prosecco, it's not only a matter of raw material and matter of grape, but it's also a matter of days in the cook close, days in fermentation, quality of the yeast. And this makes that the wine acquire some very refined bouquet, which is absolutely unique and makes them different from the Prosecco made in a faster way, and which is normally made in flat areas.
Sandro, we really appreciate you bringing your Prosecco to Toronto last night. We had a marvelous dinner and told some wild stories and drank some wonderful Prosecco. We really do appreciate your time, spending some time with Good Food Revolution this evening. We look forward to catching up with you again, perhaps next time in Veneto itself.
And you are invited there, all of you are invited. Actually, we have a special program. Everybody that comes with a cork of our Prosecco from all over the world, there's a free visit to the vineyards, a free visit to the winery, a free visit to the distillery, a lesson on Prosecco, and is always invited. We have open door for our customers and for our friends, but also for the people that just love the wine.
That's fantastic. Thank you again, Sandro.
Thanks to you.
Bye for now.